Hey runners. Hey, welcome to week 17 of my Boston Qualify marathon training series that I'm doing. So this week I'm going to go over three basics of marathon training that you need to be aware of. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about my first run after my sprained ankle that I'm recovering from. And I did a little pickleball test too. So let's get on with it here. I started last Saturday. We had our first meeting for our marathon training group put on by our local running club. And this is a fantastic way to go about your marathon training, is to join a local training group. Mostly because like on your long runs, they provide maps and they provide aid stations. So when you do your long runs, it's really great to just be able to go out there, run the route, know the distance, and have a couple of aid stations prepared for you on those, especially on those long runs. So anyway, our first meeting was a lecture on going over the program and the actual marathon training that we'll be doing. The coach was very good about explaining the three basics of marathon training. The three basics are the long run, recovery runs, and tempo runs. So the long runs, and that's your weekly long run that you do, that's a non-negotiable. That is something that you just have to do. Our group's following kind of I would call it the Galloway method, where a long run is 8 miles, and then the following week you'll do 12, and then the following week you'll do 8 again, and then you'll bump it up to 14 and then to 8. Um, but whatever long run strategy you're following, those are the runs that you have to do. So if you normally do them on Saturday and you can't make it for some reason, you have to do that run on Friday or Sunday. You just got to get those done, because those are the real key to be successful for your marathon training. Now, the other runs that you do during the week, that can vary quite a bit on your fitness level, your time commitment, and what you're trying to do for the goal of your marathon. But the easiest way to think of it is all of the runs during the week leading up to your long run should be recovery runs. And that is, I would say those would be called Maffetone runs, zone 2 runs, or easy runs, very, very easy runs, where you can carry on a conversation with someone while you're running. So there's no need to run fast. You just, however many times a week you're running, 3 to 5 times a week, on those runs that aren't your long runs, they'd be a nice easy pace run where you can converse. You're just out there putting in the time, getting some miles in, and preparing for that all important long run. Now the third the third basic item is tempo runs. And that would be, for some people, that's optional. Depending on what your goals are, if this is your very first marathon or you just want to finish, you don't necessarily have to do tempo runs. If you have a time goal you're shooting for, you're going for a PR, then you'll want to throw in once a week a run that's at a higher pace, get that, to build that efficiency and speed into your running. So the three basics are your long run, your recovery runs, and your tempo runs. Now, if you download one of those training plans off the internet or something like that, they're big and complicated, and they tell you to do certain things every day. You really don't need to do it. It's this simple: is get your long runs in during the week, get those recovery runs in. If you miss one, not a big deal. If you're interested, throw in a tempo run once a week when you're rested, and you'll be good. So that's it. Now, in the coming weeks, I'll go through each one of these in much more details to explain how to actually do them correctly, especially if you're 50, 60, or 70 years old, like most, like we are. So I'll go through those in more detail later. But for this week, that's just kind of the introduction. When you're doing your training, get those long runs nailed down, figure out what works for you during the week, and then you can throw in some faster stuff if you want. But by far the biggest mistake are people training too fast or too hard on both their long runs, their recovery runs, and their tempo runs. So we'll get into that in a later episode. But I was so happy this week. I had sprained my ankle a little over a week ago, and I finally felt recovered enough to go out for a run. So I on Tuesday mornings I run with an old farts running group around our local lake here. So this week I went out and went ahead and did that run, and I'll splice in a little video of what became of that here. Well, it's Tuesday morning, and this is my first run since a week ago Sunday when I sprained my ankle. And so far pretty good. The swelling's gone. I didn't feel too much pain. I'm doing like 3 or 4 miles. Pretty easy running, so I think I'm okay. And right after this, I'm gonna play a little pickleball to check out the lateral stability of my ankle, and then if that works out, then I should be good to go, because I have a 25K trail race this Saturday that I want to do, and I'm just kind of checking the boxes right now to make sure everything works before I show up for that. So I'll check back in after pickleball. So I was real happy that I got my run done without any pain. So the next thing I did was that afternoon I went ahead and played pickleball. And the whole reason behind why I usually play pickleball as cross training anyway is for that lateral movement, to build all those muscles and reflexes for lateral movement, which you don't get when you're just running straight all the time. So I went ahead and went into a group pickleball class to play a few matches and just to see how everything was holding up. And I'll post a little video about what came of that. Well, my little pickleball adventure seemed to work out okay. Took it easy, played about 3 matches. Felt pretty. Actually haven't played pickleball in like a year, so but it all comes back very quickly. And the main thing, I wanted to kind of stress my ankle a little bit with lateral motion, and that seemed to work out pretty well. So I didn't screw anything up, didn't feel any pain. Probably won't know for sure till tomorrow morning, if my ankle's going to swell up some more or I'm good to go. So we'll see, but so far so good. So I was real happy with my test, and this was my running test and pickleball test was to gauge how my ankle was doing. I gave it extra time because I know as we're older it takes us longer to heal. But the main reason I was doing this was I have a trail race this coming Saturday. I'm running a 25K up up in the forest, which has a lot of elevation and some technical trails. And I wanted to make sure my ankle could handle the stress. So I now I feel very comfortable. I can go out and run that race. Obviously I'm not going to, be able to set a PR or run fast, but I'll at least be able to go out there and get her done. It should be a lot of fun. So next week I'll kind of go over how that turned out and what my immediate plans are for my initial training as far as what I'll be doing for the week and my long runs. So if you're interested in following this as we go along, please be sure you subscribe, and I'll be happy to see you in the next one.